All right, everybody, this is that time that I told you, you don't want to miss. I've been really, really anxious about this. And, they say don't be anxious for nothing. But I know that there are so many people who are looking for a way to make sure that they keep their body right. They keep their body tight. They make sure that this COVID has nowhere to live inside our bodies. And so this whole idea of understanding how food plays into the situation is really, really, really important. You guys know that I am your host, Dwayne-Ross, the author of the book, No More Crumbs from the Table, where I celebrate you discovering your tag, your talent, your ability, your gift. And when you take that gift, you can put it to work in the earth and create some type of money, right? Some type of stream of income. That's profits. And so this is our TV show where I highlight people who are actually doing it. They're not talking about it. They're not thinking about it. They're actually making a way to bring extra income into their life through their passion. And some of them, as I told you before, sometimes you think your passion is one thing, but then something could happen in your life. And then automatically you discover something even bigger. And in that case, this is what happened. So you can be in a situation where something changes your life. And when that has a life impact, you decide, I'm going to change lives based on that particular thing. Today, I have one of the most phenomenal ladies that you could ever meet. Her energy is top of the top. I mean, it's off the chain. She is out there in California. We've been Facebook friends for quite some time. I know that she's involved with a newspaper that I was involved with. You guys remember, go back a while back, it was the Black Voice News. I was working I was with FCC, Funky Cold Concepts, and we had a really cool time, singing and traveling all over California to, help people stay positive, right? And at that time, I was doing social justice as well. Now, here I am, I don't know, 30 years later, and I saw Tammy. She was talking on a show, and I was like, I gotta get her on this show because she has some real vital information that can help change your life. Now, as I told you, I'm not just about bringing people that's going to give you lip service. I'm about bringing people who can give you some strategy and some action plans that can change your life. So without talking too much more, I want to introduce you, some of you for the very first time, to Miss Tammy Martin-Ryles. How are you, lady? How are you doing over there in Cali Alley?
I'm always fantastic. I'm always, living my best life and hopefully helping other people live their best life. I mean, I can't say it. I can't say more about it. It's just being happy. It's just what I am and what I do. So, what you want to
What?
know?
She said, "What you want to know?" All right, I love the attitude because when I saw Get Raw with Tammy, I was like, okay, she about to break over all of these stereotypes and say, listen, pay attention. So I know that people are out there and they don't know the difference between a protein, a fat, a carbohydrate. What's a good fat? What's a bad fat? They're trying to figure out, do I do the paleo diet? Do I do the 24-hour cabbage diet? Maybe I should eat some beets and that's it. Maybe I should just eat cereal all day. I don't know. Maybe we should have some Kool-Aid, right? So here is the situation, right? Where we're so confused, Tammy. So much
Yeah.
information. Hey, Tracy, glad you're here. Tracy saying hello. There you go. Hi.
Hey,
Hey,
Tracy.
Tammy. Hi, Tammy. All right, and
Hey.
she's always in our feed, and I love it. So they're so confused because you had the Atkins diet a while back, and then the guy who
Mm-hmm.
was champion, you got to have this diet, died, right? Then you
Oh.
had the Jim Fix situation where he was saying, "Oh, eat fruits and vegetables," and then he died, and people were like,
Mm.
and he was
I'm
young.
confused.
It
Uh-huh.
was like, I'm very confused. I'm trying to do right by my body, but this is really a lot of information. It's just misinformation. And so
Yes.
you have a different story. Tell us that story. Tell us like what happened with you. What is it that you do?
Okay, well, get raw with Tammy. Let me just say, I'm just gonna say this and kind of back up, and then hopefully you guys can hear me really well. Can you hear me really well?
We
Because
can
if
hear
you
you
can't,
well.
I don't know,
It's still
a
some
little
background
noisy.
noise, but it's
But you
okay.
know what? This is Tammy in the raw. You know what I'm saying? So raw talk, raw environments. I kicking it off raw. But get raw with Tammy is basically saying not only we're going to talk raw talk, we're going to give you some raw facts, and then also my diet is pretty much about 70 to 80% raw. And what I mean, a lot of times that scares people because they're like, I want my food cooked. Well, um, we are so not used to eating and tasting food anymore, Dwayne, that we want to hurry up and cover it up. We want to hurry up and mask it and fry it up and do all this other stuff.
Throw all the
And
sauces on there.
yeah, and we have truly forgotten what food tastes like. And especially, in a society now where we don't even know what we're eating. And I said we don't know what we're eating because um, when you are so used to just eating and eating, what we do is we trust people
Mm,
and we say, oh, this food has been here, this is, so we just trust, we just say, hey, it must be good, but it's a bunch of lies. But I'll tackle that. But how do I get to this point? I was born and raised on a farm. So being born and raised on a farm, you get to see everything. You get to see animals being killed and all of that stuff. And I was really confused as a child as to why did I have this nice little dog over here or the horse over here? Well, we had like a donkey, but why did I have these things? And then you had animals, and these things we call pets. And over here, these animals over here we kill. No one could
mm,
answer it. Couldn't answer like why are we killing some and we're not killing others? And so,
mm.
and as a young child, when people couldn't explain that to me, they just say, "Oh, it's just wrong." In whose book? Then I knew that there was a problem then, and I had a problem with animals being killed when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 years old. So I think my
Wow.
journey, yeah, my journey actually started there. I know it's a logical thing that people don't talk about. We just go with the flow. So I'm not a person that goes with the flow. It just things irk me in my brain and my head, and I'm like, no, there's something more to this. So as I got older and went to high school, I finagled with my diet. No, I'm never going to eat meat again. I'm never going to do this. But then growing up, and I think you might relate to this, but growing up in a African American household, you do as you're told. Like what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You gonna eat this, or
You
you
eat
just
what's
not
on
gonna
the plate.
or you just not gonna eat. You're gonna go to
Hmm.
bed hungry. You know what I'm talking about,
Yes.
right? Okay,
Oh
so
yeah.
so I grew up in those type of households. So when you're a kid, you don't have no money, so you got to do what you say. So I just tried to minimize as much as possible until I went to college, and I saw and majored in science, biology, uh, and then and all of my professors were not eating meat. So I was like, huh,
Hmm.
there is something to this. And so being educated a little bit more, and then taking more animals off my table because now I'm in control. And then, and right when I got to probably my early 40s is when I start to go through menopause. And so, and I thought something was wrong with me until I did research and talked to doctors and found out that no, this is normal. And the reason
Wow.
that we're going through menopause at being 60 years old is because of so many of the things that have shifted our hormones, shifted our diets. And so it was
Hmm.
then that I said, I am never going through that process and and reading up and figuring that, wait a minute, let me just not eat anything with animal in it, period.
Hmm.
And so the moment I stopped, like
Hmm.
I didn't dangle with milk, I didn't dangle with cheese, I didn't dangle with any of that.
So
And when
all
I,
meat and all meat byproducts.
oh yes, all the byproducts, I totally let them go. And so once I did that, I saw a difference in 1 week.
1 week.
1 week. I said,
Oh,
okay, yeah, 1 week.
this is crazy.
So,
Hmm.
but see, the power of education and knowing, because I knew, and I allowed my tradition. I allowed my, I allowed all of that to interfere with my logical brain, with
Hmm.
logic. And then I had to look at, I started looking at African American health, and I looked at how we were at the top of the polls for everything, all the
I know.
percentages for diabetes, high blood pressure, you name it, we were there. Of course, there were other things that were signature of other races, but we were still there with it.
Right.
And
Right.
so the more and more I researched at that point, I said, you know what? The problem is education and letting go of tradition, letting go of what's called an addiction. And
Mm.
food is a major addiction because guess what? We don't want to give up the fried chicken. We don't want to give up the barbecue ribs. Why? Because it makes us feel so good. We feel so good. But, you know, there's there's so much as far as relearning that brain,
Yeah.
turning that switch off and saying I have to do better. I must do better because then I'll shut up as I say this,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
here's the thing. If I went up, are you into cars? What are you into, Dwayne?
Yeah. Books and stuff, but I like a
Mm,
few cars. I like a few cars. So go ahead.
okay,
I think
so
I
if
think I
I
can
went up,
handle.
yeah, so if I went up to you and said, "Hey, listen, Dwayne, we're gonna put any old type of oil in this car," what would you tell me?
Not today. And I say, no, I
Okay,
have a specific oil that goes in my vehicle because I want it to perform at the highest, rate, highest level. So
okay,
yeah.
and so that means that if I did it anyway, you would probably beat me with a stick, or you probably not talk to me again. But you would follow those specifications, correct,
Yeah. Yes.
to
Yeah.
make that vehicle. Yeah. So the same thing when I talk to clients is, why would you treat your body any different?
Ooh, wait. We gotta slow down. See, we gotta slow down because you notice this at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. You're looking
Well,
at
I noticed
pets.
something was wrong. Yes.
Right. You're looking at pets and their animals, and you're looking at animals that you're getting slaughtered that you have to turn into sausage and chickens, lamb chops, and all this stuff. And then you get to this point where you're like, now you're older, and you put all these numbers together, you put all these things together, you go into biology as when you decide to go to college, and you pull all this information together, and now you're saying, wait a minute, hold on. This body is like a car, a vehicle. If I had a high performance vehicle, am I just going to put anything in it? Now that's a simplistic thing, but it's interesting because I have a friend named Dr. Olabisi, and she actually uses this with children. She has a
Yes.
car, and she says, "Okay, kids, what do you need to get the car started?" And they go, "Gas," right? And she's like, "Yay!" And she said, "Okay, and what do we do to keep what gets it going?" And they say, "Battery." All right, and then she says, "Okay, so what do we put in it to keep it running smooth?" And they're like, "Ah," and she says, "Oil," right? So she uses
Yes.
that same analogy with the kids to help them understand that what you put in matters. And
Mhm.
so here you are. Tell us about this whole idea of putting the wrong stuff in our body versus now shifting it, because you saw a real mock difference in 1 week. This is
Yeah.
amazing.
In a week. And so putting the wrong things, well, let me tell you about, because the first thing that we want to do is, especially, well, I would say plant-based.
Plant
Plant-based
based.
is
Okay.
plant-based is the only way. That means no animal products, no animal byproducts. And I'm gonna tell you why. Um, Animals, okay. let me just say this, because one thing that people want to bring up to me is, hey, you have animals out there that eat other animals, so there must be a problem. And I said, no. I said, some of these animals are out there, and it's only specific animals that eat other animals. But I said, here's the difference. I said,
Mm-hmm.
when they eat them, when do they eat them? Do they put them in the refrigerator? Do they slaughter them? Do they imprison them? Do they
Right.
inject poison into them? And do they enslave them over and
Oh,
impregnate them
oh,
over
yeah,
and over?
over and over and
No,
over.
they kill them and they eat them there where the blood is gushing out.
Right then
Okay.
and there.
So now, uh, what do we do to animals? They say, I said, no, we enslave them and then we pregnate them. That's not natural. I mean, how would people feel if you put a woman up and all you did was insert some sperm in her every 10 months, you
Well,
know?
I mean,
So
actually,
exactly.
that was part of slavery, right? That they
Yes.
had women that's exactly what they did, and
Yes.
that's unfortunate for our history. But at the same time, think about the inhumane treatment of just that one thing, making
Yeah.
that animal consistently have babies, not for love or anything else, but for slaughter. Go ahead.
No, to put it on your plate so you
Yeah.
can enjoy yourself. So, and people don't want to hear me talk about this. And I said, it's the same way in slavery that most people didn't want to hear what you was doing to slaves.
Yeah.
Okay. But they
Yeah.
knew that they
That
just
they
didn't want to be around black people.
right.
So that I hit home.
You
Okay.
you
Now,
hitting some stuff. Now you said get raw, and I
I,
there's no disclaimer here, y'all. Listen, when
yeah.
Tammy talks
So,
about being raw, she's talking about the truth, the naked truth about
yes.
what we do and how we do it and how it impacts us. Even the incarceration of a pig. It's funny to say that, but you guys get it, right? We incarcerate the pig, then we enslave the pig, and then we slaughter the pig in an enslaved environment, and that is all still running around inside that body, and then we put it on our plate. So
Mhm.
go ahead, Tam.
Yeah, so and let me say it, and I'm glad you brought the pig up because I go back to that same thing about the pet. Pig IQs are higher than dogs.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
when yes, so and if you've lived on a farm and you've watched these animals, you can call them, they come to you. And so when you think about it and you truly think about it, and I challenge people to study the vibrations of animals, and in studying the vibrations of animals, they're just like our vibrations. They cry, so they weep, they know pain. And I say, and a good example for you to know that, get mad at your dog, get mad at your cat. What do? Even if somebody was to raise their hand, what do? They go back, they
Yeah,
run, they feel
yeah,
down, they cry, they
yeah.
have emotions. So when you're
Right.
killing these animals, they are pleading and kicking and screaming for their life. Also, we can have that on our plate. Now, I talk about the Trinity, Dwayne, the
Yes.
Trinity of the reason why I decided to go all the way in and what has been on my plate as far as mental on my plate since a young kid is my health, number one, and then looking at the environment, things that have gathered, and then looking at the animals. So if we as people, as human beings, we should connect to one of these three. If we connect to our health, then that should trigger us to change. If we connect with the harming of animals who can't speak for themselves, that should attack another part of your brain. And if we connect with the environment is getting stripped apart. They talk about telling you to stop drinking water or reduce the plastic.
Hmm.
That only accounts to about 30%. You can let your faucet run forever, and it will never outweigh the 50, 60 to 70% of farming of these animals and the food that is planted to feed these animals. That's why the forest is being cut down.
Okay. So go
Okay,
back to that Trinity again. Tell us that again. You got the Trinity. You have health.
the Trinity. Health, you're doing it for your health, going plant-based for your health. The second is going plant-based because the killing of animals. And then the third one is for your environment, to keep your environment pure, to make sure that, the water, the land is preserved. And, everybody talks about going green. And the most people
Hmm.
that I see go green are not plant-based. And so I don't understand, the mentality when only thing that they can talk about is plastic and water. And I say, well, have you considered animals? And they say, well, I don't understand. And I'm like, and just re-educating people. And so once they see the numbers, and I can give them hundreds of videos to watch, then they're like, oh my God. Well, and I just challenge people to think. It's to think. It is when we don't want to think, it's when we don't want to change. So, and that's perfectly fine, because I'm not here to handcuff anybody. I am here to only, create a
Enlighten.
movement
Hmm.
and enlighten and help people create a lifestyle change. I'm going to still love them tomorrow, but it is to reach those who have ears to hear,
Now, you
you
guys,
know?
don't forget that you have a comment there. If you have a comment about something that Tammy is talking about, you have a question that you want her to answer, go ahead and put that in the comment section. If you're seeing this on Facebook, put that in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, let people know about this. If you're on the Facebook page, go ahead and subscribe. If these have been some really good shows for you, again, this is just a new thing that I'm doing that it's in its infancy stage, hasn't reached
Mhm.
half of the people that I know that it could reach, but I know that the information is vital information you need to use. Now, she talked about this Trinity: health, the care for the animals, and the environment. And so many people, I see them all the time talking about green, go green, go green, go green. And I've actually experienced this with a friend of mine who was doing some work in one in particular area, and then started having a health challenge and decided to do like you did, to look at her plate. And when she did, she looked at her plate in a way that she had never looked at it before. And today, her friends say that she looks 20 years younger. She's healthier. Her and her husband are doing a lot of more things than they used to do. Because when he saw the change in her, because he didn't want to do it, he was like, you do that thing, that health thing.
Yeah.
Now, the two of them are on this journey together. So, can you talk about how some people reject this information? And I know what you said, you love them still. But the fact is, sometimes we're complaining about a feeling in our body, and our body is speaking to us saying, please don't give me any more of that X, Y, or Z. Because as you said in the beginning, we don't even know where the food comes from now.
Yeah.
They have released so many regulations on stuff. We don't know what they're
Yeah.
sprinkling on stuff.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely talk about that. But first of all, I telling people or showing people proper way to eat, I first go over history. And I go over the history of the earth and our bodies. And the earth is alkaline. So that means that anything that God has put in the earth, He has put everything on the earth to not only feed you, but to cure you. Feed you and cure you. And so I said, if I wanted you to have an operation, He would have created a zipper. And I said, He would have made a zipper on you. And then also, if He, you know, if He wanted you to eat something to get well, He would not have man go into a lab and put these chemicals together. No, it's already there for you. So with that being said, I'm going to talk a little science, and I'm not going to talk a lot because I want people to be connected. The only difference between a plant cell and an animal cell, because they're basically identical, and they're identical for a reason. So so the only difference is a plant cell has an outer cell wall that is tough, okay? And the regular animal cell isn't, because we got to be able to live in that environment, and it has to be able to, so when it gets to your environment, you can break it down, okay? And then it has chloroplast, chlorophyll, because the first energy comes from the sun, goes right into what's called a producer, and those are the plants. And then it's that chlorophyll and the chloroplast that has to convert all of that in. So with that being said, these two things, so when you put a plant in your mouth, a pure plant, alkaline plant, that means something that can be found in the wild, something that God created, something that is not created in a lab. What's created in a lab, and I have to tell people this, just because you are vegan, just because you're a vegetarian, does not mean you're eating healthy.
Exactly.
Okay?
Say that again. Say
So
that again.
just because you are vegan or plant-based does not mean that you're healthy. Because if you start looking at all of these farmers and these Monsanto's, Bayer, all of them, they
Hmm.
have been manipulating food for a very long time. In 1924 is when they set up the pyramid to tell you how to eat. Oh, eat the protein, eat this, eat that. Why? Because it was called a money market. You you have a slaughterhouse. You do vegetables, and this person over here milk
Does
cows.
bread. Hmm.
So, and does bread. So they had to make sure that everybody got a piece of the pie. So they told you how to eat so that you could put all these things on your plate, because it was all about money. So people have to, so that has nothing to do with nothing. I tell people, let it go. Okay.
Yo.
So
You said let it go. Traditions.
let it go.
Traditions.
So
Mm.
and in the beginning of 1900s, we did not have we had about four major diseases. Now fast forward to 2020, we have more diseases and disorders than we can even
Count.
imagine. And
Right.
and so, and I said, you have to think of who the culprit is. The culprit
Mm.
is, all of these, and I don't even too much blame it on the farmers too much, especially this. I'm sorry, I'm in this place and people are talking loud, but especially these small farmers, they have been worked over, and they got handcuffs on their wrists just to
Oh,
keep
I
their
know.
business open.
Yeah,
But
some of them.
so if you're talking about alkaline and your body is supposed to be alkaline because your blood is 7.4 to 7.8. So that means the food that's going in your body is supposed to be natural. And that means it's alkaline, alkalizing in your body. So when you start eating food that is made from man, it is acidic. It is not alkaline. It is acidic because man is not the wild. Man is not God. Man did not create it, but man wants to mimic. And people say, why is that, Tammy? I thought it's because we want to feed more people. No, it's called Money. Because if I produce something, because most plants have a season, they have, and if people understand the almanac, they know that certain plants are centennial, do you understand? You can plant it anytime, you can plant it only once a year. And let me give you the biggest thing, especially African Americans fall for. The watermelon,
Hmm.
when I grew up, I only ate it in the summer. I
Oh
only
yeah.
ate a plum in the summer. Matter of
Right.
fact, I only ate peaches in the summer. I don't know
Right.
about you, Dwayne. Okay.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, we started about 35 years ago. We started seeing watermelon in December and January, and we got all happy
Hmm.
because it was seedless. They had to change the DNA structure so that they could plant it so it could grow in that ground. They had
Hmm.
to genetically modify this watermelon. And a lot of them talk about, oh, it's not genetically modified. Okay, they had to hybridize it in an unnatural way. I don't care what words you want to put to it. But when you do that, you change the DNA structure. When you change the DNA structure, it is not coming from the wild. Okay, it can
Wow.
now be
Wow.
planted, but it
Mm.
was, you will never find that in the wild. Never, ever, 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 because it can only be planted only through the method that they now have
Right.
created in this seed.
Some kind of
Okay.
mechanism that they created. Okay.
Yes. So what we have done for over so many years, because see, everybody want to talk about, and oh, well, look at when my grandmother, when they lived a long time, it was a different, see, it was a
Right.
different stuff going on, and we were active. You know, they worked the fields all day long. They
Mm-hmm.
worked, the kids, the grandmom and the daddy. Are we
Mm-hmm.
working all day long
They
now?
had like my grandfather had 12, 12 siblings. It was 13 of them.
Yeah, but think about it. How inactive are we now? So even if we was putting junk in our system,
Right.
um,
We're
we
not
don't
burning
work.
it up. We're not
We
working
ain't.
enough. We ain't doing
We
enough
ain't.
work.
Mm-mm,
he said
mm-mm.
he said we ain't doing diddly squat.
No, we ain't doing that. And
Right.
so, and they were eating off of the land. They
Yes.
weren't going to no fast food. What
To the store.
prescriptions was they? What prescriptions were they using? Other
Piggly
than
Wiggly.
what grandmama? No, what grandmama whipped up in that from.
Oh yeah. She said, "Go out there, baby, and get me one of them root pieces of such and such, and bring that over. You gonna see that little thing? It got little berries on it. Bring me that in there, and bring that in." I was a little kid in Tennessee, and I
Yes.
remember this one time of hearing that kind of conversation. Now I don't know exactly how old I was, but I had to be like less than 5. But I just remember them going outside to get something and coming back
Yeah.
in. And I remember my aunt later on, my sister was running outside and she was playing with a pencil in her hand and she fell and she actually stabbed herself with the pencil. My aunt pulled the pencil out, used a regular needle and thread, and then she got this plant, aloe vera type looking plant that was in the that she had plants that she planted all the time, and she
Yes.
pulled a little piece and it had this jelly stuff in there,
Yeah.
and she used that on. Never went to the doctor. My sister tells this
Nope.
story all the time. She said, "Mommy didn't even take me to the doctor." She's like, "Now
No.
go on out there and go play."
Exactly. And that's, but see, and we weren't eating back during the time sharecropping and slavery. They weren't eating a lot of meat because first of all, they weren't giving you steaks. They was
Right. You only
giving
got what's
you,
left over.
they was giving you the organ meat.
Right.
They was
Right.
giving you the foot. They was giving you the tongue and the head. They gave you the stuff that they didn't
They
want, the
didn't want.
chitlins and all of that. And
Right.
so,
Right.
and so you weren't, and you had to share among so many people. So your plate, that
Mm.
was not your main meal.
Right.
And so now in today, when you order food, the first thing people order is the meat. It take up the whole plate, and then everything else, a little dots of things around the plate.
Hmm.
I don't think you hear me though. It's
I hear you.
little dots of stuff around the plate. And so they want to talk about, oh, this is how we always ate. No, it wasn't.
No.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah.
And don't let me take you back to Africa or
Take
where
us
they
back to Africa. Take us
see
back.
where
People,
they
see,
ate.
here's Tammy. Listen, Tammy. People don't know this stuff. You are dropping. You said dropping science. You're dropping knowledge. You're dropping what I call platinum bombs, right? It's just these platinum nuggets.
Mhm.
If they pick these platinum nuggets up and put them in their toolbox or put them in their pocket or whatever it is, they can make some really serious changes in their diet. That's going to change in their health. That's going to impact their life, overall life expectancy. Now, I had somebody tell me, "Yeah, but I could get hit by a car." I said, "I hear you, but what I'm saying to you is the part that you play." Yeah. That's what they said. It's like, man, people die from this and people die. I can get hit by a car. I say, yeah, but I'm just saying. The thing is, what are the parts that we can play in our own demise? Here's some things that we can do. You know,
Yeah.
and personally, I've been through a crisis in the last 3 months where I had to take a look at all this stuff, and I'm thankful that they didn't find no problems. We did all these tests and etc. But people don't want to hear what you have to say, Tammy, because it causes them to now pause and have to take accountability for what it is. You're good. You're good. Accountability for what they put in their mouth. You know.
Yes.
So why do you eat the way that you do? I mean, why?
Uh,
Why? What's the real why? What was it like? I heard about, you knew some things and you were educated about it. You looked at some things. It didn't make sense to you. But what was your main why?
because you know what? I want to live not only to be over 100, but I want to thrive. Because see,
Mm,
if you look at people who are in the blue zone, the longest living people, centennials, they're in the blue zone. And what that means is they're the longest living people, but not only are they living, they are thriving, which means that, you know, I, how many, when I ask people especially in the African American, and I have to say African because that's who I am.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that is a mission of mine. But when I ask people, how many people do you know in their 90s? Now, first of all, I start how many people in the 80s who not only are alive, but are not in a wheelchair, not on a cane, they are not taking any medication, and they're
Mm,
actually outside walking and jogging and thriving. And I ask people to raise their hand.
mm.
Hmm.
Crickets, huh? Beep,
Crickets.
cricket.
Just because you get old does not mean you're supposed to fall apart.
Ooh, that's a tweet. Just
Yeah,
because you get
just
old.
because when I ask people, oh my knees, oh it's because I'm old. No, that's called inflammation from all that stuff you've eaten over the years, and your body is in an acidic state. So if you change the way you eat, then you won't feel that stuff up in your knees. And so
Wow, now
and
you said inflammation. See, I don't
inflammation.
think I think because again we bought into even the medical establishment lies, right? Because
Of course.
when you read Revelations in the Bible, it says because of the pharma, right?
Yeah.
Pharmaceutical. That's where they get that from. They
Mhm.
have created such a industry that every single thing is about, hey, you got this, take this. You got this, take that. And we buy it hook, line, and sinker. And so we
Yes.
never give the body the things that it actually needs. When it needs a protein, a carb, and a fat, and all you're giving it is proteins and carbs, well, you're missing the fat. Or if you're giving it fats and carbs but no protein, you're missing the protein. And people think you can only get protein from animals because that was
Oh
a
Lord.
big thing back in the
Oh
day.
Jesus.
But I know that's
Jesus.
I
Lord.
know that's one of your big things when you're telling people, you're like, look, there's easy ways to get this journey started. So
Mm.
go in there. Tell us some
Look,
stuff about
look,
this.
look. When people ask me, I hear this question 1 million times. Where you get your proteins? I say I get my proteins from the same places the animals you eat get their protein.
Yeah, big old giant gorilla. He
I
hasn't
say,
eaten not one piece of meat.
I say yes. And if you look at a horse, how much meat does a horse eat?
Right. They like eating
Don't eat out.
apple.
They
They don't.
eat
They go to
plants.
the drive-through. They go to the horse through.
It's so that lie that you gotta have meat, and then the elephant, what he eat? How he get
Whoa,
so
the
big?
elephant. Wow. That's in his DNA, Tammy. That's in his
Mm,
DNA.
mm. So and the strongest man on the planet don't even eat meat. Strongest
Mm.
man on the planet doesn't even eat meat. And if you look at, it's called, I think I'm trying to think of the name of the video that I've been telling people to watch. But he says everybody tells him, you're as strong as an ox. He said, have you ever seen an ox eat meat? Have you ever seen what an ox eats?
Ooh. Yeah, he's like, I'm eating ox food.
Yes. So they don't eat. So that is just embedded in our brain. Let me tell you why it's put there. It's put there because this is called an industry of money. And what that means is that there is no money in healthy people. Let me say that one more time.
Hmm.
There is no money in healthy people, Dwayne.
Yeah.
So that means that, and here's what I try to tell people who are running around on prescriptions, who are sitting up eating all of this food that is animal based. Here's what I tell them. They just getting ready to take your money because they already know that you're going to be paying into prescriptions. They tell you, oh, you got diabetes for the rest of your life. People say, let me go get my medicine so I can keep eating the way I've been eating, so I can go back over and pay for some more medicine. Look at it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then you wonder why, if you look at the big glossy buildings, the insurance companies, oh, they love for you to keep doing that because you need some insurance so you can get some lower fees for your go see the doctor more. So the insurance companies got you, and then you got, the pharmaceuticals got you. They're the drug dealers. So I tell
Yeah.
people this stuff is not natural. So if you stop letting them pimp you and you eat right, and then you can put more money because
They
the
don't like
people
you.
tell,
They don't want to hear that, Terry. They get a pimp.
yeah, they're getting
It's
pimped
hard
because
out here for the pimps.
pimp,
They
yes.
get a
Okay.
pimp.
So listen, they tell me this because I eat organic. I eat organic, and all I eat is organic food, right? And they said, well, I can't eat like that because it's too expensive. I said, really? But how much are your meds? How much you paying
Wow.
on that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, oh, it's too healthy. Yeah, if you eat fast food vegan, yeah. But if you go
Yeah.
to the store and you buy stuff that you gotta cook, you're gonna spend far less. Far less. I have proven it. I have went toe to toe with my colleagues on how much money they have spent in 1 week versus me. And you talking
Wow.
about some of them have spent $150 more in 1 week than what I
Wow.
spent. And
Wow.
so, but they say the way I eat is expensive. I said, no, it's just, those are just lies. That's a myth. It's not a true
Well, see,
statement.
what we're doing right now is removing the scales from their eyes, right? You're
Yes.
like saying, listen, look at this from another perspective. Take a
Mhm.
step back. You guys, listen. Like I told you in the beginning of the show, the reason why I started this was because I want people to have less excuses. Because remember, excuses build the house of failure, right? And if you're
Yes.
saying that you can't play with your daughter, your grandkid, your grandson because your hip hurts or your knees hurt or you out of breath and all these different things, well, maybe it's because you keep putting the wrong things inside your body. Now, as Tammy said, she doesn't fight you. She gives you the information. She shares the what, the why, and how, and then she says, "Listen, if you want more information, here's how I can help you." As a coach, and she's a lifestyle coach because she doesn't talk about the moment. She doesn't talk about just this dinner or that lunch. She talks about changing your entire lifestyle and wrapping yourself around this. And we know that it's difficult to put down the bacon, the chicken.
Mhm.
I went meatless, and I'm back on meat, but I'm slowly getting back to that other place. But I regulate certain meats. There's some days I have no meat on my plate. There's certain days that I don't even think about meat. And my friends were like, "Well, you're not gonna have some chicken or something?" I'm like, "No, I'm just gonna do the vegetables and the this and the that and this." So let me know. Talk to us about this because you talked about the alkaline body. You
Yes.
talked about how that works. So how does that alkaline body affect us in reference to now that we're making a choice? We took the turn. We said, okay, let's get some of this meat off our plate. Let it be if we're gonna have meat, it's the smallest thing. It's the dab versus
Yes.
everything else. Talk about that.
Okay, the alkaline body. So first of all, it starts with you putting in food that is only found in the wild, and nothing. And when I say organic, that means how it's planted. Now, how they're
Hmm.
planting food now is with chemicals. Why? Because they want to yield more and they don't want the insects and worms to attack it. Now, if a worm and a bug don't want is dying from chibbling on it, let it go.
You said if the worms is having challenges, they're like, yo, look, I don't know about that there apple, man. That thing is
Think about it. Think about it. If it killed them, what do you think it's going to do inside of your body? Think
right because it
about that.
metabolizes what you said earlier about the cells, right? They're
Yeah. Yeah. So if it is killing, we want to eat the food that worms won't. because obviously they want it for a reason, because they know it's good. They know it's nutritious. That's why they want it. So if it kills them on the spot, that is food that you should not even want to touch. So don't even touch it, number one. So try to get organic as much as possible, number one, because now we don't have any chemicals, and then that food is now completely alkaline. And pick stuff that is not seedless or that has been an unnatural hybrid. And let me give you an example. Right now, navel oranges, people love them. They don't have no seeds. How you gonna have some food ain't got no seed in? Where does seed go? Ask yourself, here's a logical question. Where does seed go? They say, well, there's just some food that don't have seed. Really? So you got a pregnant woman that ain't got no eggs?
They say, you know, that it's the Mary complex. It's the Mary complex. You
Okay,
know,
so you
Mary
got
didn't
all,
have no.
okay. So, but you know, but somebody planted a seed in
Oh,
her.
they surely did. They surely did. It was like,
Unless Jesus, unless Jesus Christ himself come down and plant. Okay, so do not touch seedless stuff. Do not touch unnatural stuff. There are certain foods that are put together that can only be put together in a lab, because if they were sitting next to each other, they would not migrate together. So when you get a lot of different berries, it's because of a migration from one berry to another. That's natural. Okay, so it's just like this. I couldn't mate you with a dog, could I? And you get a dog and animal, could you? No, you
right,
can't.
right.
So it's the same with other food. And in order to get a dog and an animal together, they have to go to the lab and kind of make something. Well, that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of against the law, but it's not against the laws for them to play with all of your food. And
Right.
all of the food that they hide all the tests from you that have been manipulated are killing all of the rest. They got tumors going all up on them. But this is stuff that we put in our bodies over and over and over and over and over again. Your body is totally fighting. It's fighting, it's fighting, it's fighting, because it has what's called an immune system. But there comes a time, because every time you put something in your mouth that's not natural, it is a foreign object, and it has to work
Mm.
hard. It has to go through. It's what's that? What's that? And so it's
Yeah.
trying to break it down.
Fight. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when it
So
doesn't, help me if I'm right or wrong on this. And when it can't find, if it's like, okay, I can't fight you, then it covers it, right? And then it takes it and turns it into fat somewhere and stores it somewhere and stores it in your head. And now you got a head tumor. Stores it in some place in your body and you got tumors.
yeah, it creates mucus all over your
Oh,
body. And see, in the way we are put together, we have 11 body systems. Everybody's different. You know, like your family might have respiratory issues. So guess what? You came from mommy and daddy that had respiratory issues. So if your body goes under attack, it already knows you come from a structure that already had a weakened system. So people say, oh, I just got high blood pressure because my mom and daddy. No, you got high blood pressure because you eating the same thing that your mama and daddy ate. And over here, somebody over here got diabetes. It ran in their family. No, it was trying to run out of the family, but you kept running toward it because you keep eating the same pound cake that your mama made and all the fried chicken. You had all of her signature dishes. So what you gonna do? You came from both of them, right? So we have like DNA markers, and they identify us like, yeah, I kind of recognize that she doing the same thing mama did. So her mama did. So what I tell people is when you go in the stores, read a label, pick it up. And when you
hmm.
pick it up, if you're eating canned goods or anything in a jar, when you read it, there, if you don't understand and you can't understand the ingredients, put it back. It should have about 3 ingredients, maybe water, a little salt, maybe sea salt, and maybe whatever that plant or vegetable is. But they have all these preservatives. They have the color number red, yellow, and purple and blue. They have all these other chemicals. Why? Because they want it to last for 15 and 20 years. Food wasn't designed to last that like that. It just wasn't. So we're putting chemicals in our body. So if you can't identify what it says, put it back on the shelf. Only eat what you see that you identify with. Oh, what? Okay, so it has some little I'm just naming some plants, you know. Oh, it has some romaine in it. Oh, it has some tomatoes in it, and it has some maybe garbanzo beans. Oh, you can have that. You see what I'm saying? But if you
Hmm.
can't read it, put it back on the shelf, because that's it goes again to logic. Why are you putting something in your mouth and you don't know what it is? Just
Right.
line yourself up to go to the doctor so you can get a prescription for all the destruction that you're putting in your body. And the body takes a while to break down,
And you
from
know,
child.
and that
Go
that's
ahead.
interesting too, because you can't usually pronounce or read what they even
No.
tell you to put in your body. I recently, I had a situation where I was running. I had not ran in a while, and I hadn't done this. I had done a 3K, and I wanted to get back into it, but I went into it too quickly and didn't prepare my body. So
Yes.
I had a situation where I was overexerted, and I had a panic attack thinking I couldn't breathe. But the reality was I was breathing too much carbon dioxide, and I didn't allow myself to take in enough oxygen. So anyway, I went to the hospital and they gave me these pills and they said, take all this stuff. And I got home and I was like, let me read up on this stuff. And I read up on all of it and I was like, I'm not taking this pill. I called my doctor. I said, I thank you so much for prescribing this, but this right here pill, I'm not taking. Now, the other one I'll take for the little while that y'all tell me so we can get to, go through this process, procedure or whatever, because my kids was like, Dad, please go through the procedure. We don't want you to die. And I was like, okay, I'm not dying, but I'm just saying. But here's the thing, Tammy. We have 10 more minutes.
Yes.
What are the action steps? What do people need to do? I love it.
What they need to do, you know what? They need to make a decision, and they need to go back and they need to look at the Trinity things that I talked about. Is your health important? Because one of the three has to be important. If none of the three are important, then I would challenge for you to do reflection. Because your health, is it important? Do you want to live for a long time? Do you care about your body and its health? Meaning that as you get older, you want somebody to take care of you, or do you want to take care of yourself? Do you want to be driving and dancing at the age of 102, or do you want to be sitting back in a chair, dribbling from your mouth and watching everybody else do what it is that they? I mean, I hate to make it sound like that, but I have to hit home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you care about the animals? Because many people don't. Do you want to enslave them? Right now, what's going on, and if we talk about, especially African Americans being, how we getting treated, well, just imagine. Mm, I have to say it,
No, you have
and
to say.
I have to
Yeah.
say it, but you don't want to
Listen.
think about the animals.
We tend to, like you said earlier, we tend to ignore the things that make us uncomfortable.
Of
Right
course.
now we're a nation. So we were talking about a nation so divided, but when you look in the streets for the protesting, you don't see the division. You see people coming from all different nationalities, people groups, age groups coming together for one cause, and that's equal justice, equality,
Yes.
right? It's not about
Yes.
black, it's not about white, it's about equality and justice. Now, the moniker has been black because who's been mistreated the longest, who's been put in pens, who's been, so people don't want to talk about things that are uncomfortable. They don't want to
Who's been
talk about
killed at?
grandma, look, you've been killing us with this recipe. Because see, like you said earlier, when grandma did the recipe, she went in the backyard and got everything. She went down to Mr. Joseph, who had a little, everything was
Well, great
natural.
great grandmama probably did that one.
Yeah. So yeah, these days, because all right. So get with, we're understanding those three things. We're
Okay.
understanding reading the labels. What are some other things that we're doing?
And then just make a commitment every day. Make a commitment every day to do better. I tell people, if you want to start with meatless Mondays and then going into Tuesdays, a gradual process, but really to with having dealt with clients, I think just really going at it immediately is probably the best, because you will, once you strip yourself down, because a lot of people go on what's called those fasts, right? And if you're going to go fast, okay, let that be your vegan. Okay, let that be your plant-based, and then take a look at how you feel, and do an evaluation. Don't let your emotions control you. And think about, keep it simple. Keep it simple, because so many people call me, can you give me a recipe? I can't do it because I don't have any recipes. And the first thing I ask people, how many recipes have you used within the last year? And that's why I don't do recipes too much anymore, because it's another reason for someone to quote unquote fall off of a wagon. I'd say, what did you eat yesterday? Well, I ate a hamburger yesterday. Okay, well then go and get your bread, go and get your lettuce, tomato, and your onion, go get some mustard, and then go ahead and get a plant-based burger. I'll let you do that. Go ahead and get a plant-based burger. You didn't miss anything. I asked another person, what did you have? Lasagna. Okay, well, we're gonna make some vegan lasagna. Don't use the meat. Maybe just chop up more vegetables, or go ahead and get some mock meat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not for a lot of mock meats. However, if you're transitioning, I need you to get in the mode, and then you can get some vegan cheese, or don't use
Mm-hmm.
anything at all. Done. It's done. So now what? So every time somebody comes up to me, they want a recipe. I said, no. What did you eat last night? Well, I ate some beans. I ate some mashed potatoes, and then I had this. Okay, well, I'll already have the mashed potatoes. Use the alternative milk, and then also use some plant-based butter. People actually say it tastes better. And then have your vegetables, and then go ahead and get some mock meat and put it on a plate. Done. So why do we need all these fancy things in order for us to get going where we need to get going? It's called excuses. If they need help, they can always call me. My number is out there. They can reach me on my website at getrawwithtammy.com. They can reach me on all social medias, Get Raw with Tammy or Tammy Martin-Ryles. I'm here for you, but keep it simple. And that one thing I want to say is it is not out of fashion to research. It's not out of fashion to research. When the things that are supposed to change our life, we don't want to research. We want to ask, and nobody's telling us anything. But if we go buy a house, honey, let me tell you, we're going to read every 21 of them pages. We're going to drive people to the liquor. But when it comes to our bodies, when it comes to our bodies, we don't want to take 1 hour and keep it alkaline. Don't do any citrus fruit. And I tell people, stay away from the carrots. Stay away from carrots. It's a man-made vegetable. Stay away from the broccoli. Stay away from the cauliflower. Stay away. I got a lot of stuff you can stay away from.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to ask you, because it sounds like you
Yes.
have a cool. Yeah, thank you, Miss Gladys. Yes, great research. She's saying
Yes.
true research. Get in there and really find the stuff. You said, say your website again. I think I have it right.
Get raw
GetWellWithTammy.com.
with Tammy. Uh-huh.
Get raw. Same
Yeah.
thing as get
Yeah. Get
raw.
raw with Tammy. Just how it sounds. And then eat the foods. Find out alkaline foods. Most of your berries are alkaline. Anything that's seedless is not alkaline. You can't find a seedless fruit in the wild because it has to grow over and over again. And it grows because some animal picks the fruit up, or a bird or pick the fruit up and eat it, and they drop the seeds and they go right back into the ground. That's how we get this little, thing rolling. So eat true foods. Stay off of the animal milk, because let me tell you something. That milk is made for calves, and they only drink it for a year. And then when they drink it, then it wasn't designed for you to drink another animal's milk for the rest of your life. Do you drink your mama's milk for the rest of your life?
I have a friend of mine that drank his mama's milk since he was three.
Yes.
3 years old. But they talked about how the colostrum and everything kept him
Yeah.
from having a lot of negativity as far as his health. He's always been really fairly healthy. All right, well,
Yes.
we are coming to the last 2 minutes, Tammy. I can't believe an hour has
I
gone by
told
so
you.
quickly. But I knew you could fill an hour with no problem because you have
Yo,
so
two
much.
hours.
Oh, now watch out now. Okay, we got the. All right, we dancing together now. What's up? What's up? So listen, y'all. Tammy is here for you. She is a lifestyle coach. She will help you get the right things off your plate and the right things on your plate by just taking a couple of these things that she said today. She talked about the 3 things that you need to pay attention to. She talked about getting into those labels. She gave you some insights on even some foods not to even deal with anymore, right? She talked about being a
Not even
caring
potatoes. Leave
person.
potatoes alone.
Oh, look, see, potatoes. I got all this
No.
stuff in my. in my kitchen I got
No
to get rid of,
potatoes.
right?
No celery.
Carrot, potatoes, celery, carrots. That's the whole stew, Tammy.
No.
I'm gonna just have water in the can. Okay. All right, listen, y'all. We have come to the 8 o'clock hour. I want to say thank you so much for riding with Tammy and I today. You know, this is Tammy Martin-Ryles. Get raw with Tammy. She's out here taking care of business. She's transforming lives. I totally know that when you can take information and actualize that information, your life can truly change. Thank you, Tracy. Tracy says, thank you so much, Tammy. Great message tonight. You know, she's been
I'm your
riding with us
Irish
high
princess.
the whole time, right? And, you know, this will be broadcast live, but you'll see the replay on YouTube, and it'll also be replayed on my regular page where I will upload it to the regular page for those that are out there. You guys know right now, I'm involved with a lot of social justice. If you don't remember when I was on the radio 3 years ago, everything that I was doing then, I'm doing again now because it's imperative that we take some stands and we take some actions and we do what Dr. King said this time. Don't stop moving. Keep moving forward. You know, Dr. King gave us some things right before he died, before he was murdered. He gave us things not to eat. He gave us companies not to do business with, and he told us some strategies. But we, you know, when he died, and then Malcolm, and then the Kennedys, we just kind of left that up to whatever, right? Here we are again in the same place that we were. But I believe it's a different time now. The time is now movement. That's what's happening. Also, break. If you see hashtag break and you see Black Lives Matter, anytime the mayor of DC could change the name of a street to Black Lives Matter and
Right?
put Black Lives Matter straight to the White House, that ought to be a clue. And everybody that's out there saying, I don't know, what should we do? How do I help you? What do we do? I don't know, get informed.
Yes.
Educate yourself. There's a lot of education out there because we've been miseducated from the beginning. Dr. Carter G. Woodson wrote the book, The Miseducation of the Negro. We've been bamboozled, like they said. We've been hoodwinked, right? And,
Yes.
and, and don't get caught up on what you see in the media because we already have discovered there have been officers actually now arrested for looting, for breaking windows, and pretending to be the negative people out there protesting. And there have been individuals from different neighborhoods who have come from other neighborhoods to throw bricks and rocks and things of this nature, and they are living in $300,000, $500,000 mini mansions and not living in the hood. So please, please, please pay attention. Wake up. All right. Ernesto Rodriguez, I'm going to have him on. We're going to do a state of emergency midweek this week because we're planning a march. We're also planning to get some people together. I want to have Tammy back because I'm planning on putting a health crisis team together where I'm going to have Dr. Yolanda Ragland, Lewis Ragland, along with Tammy and along with hopefully Dr. Olabisi and some other people. We're going to talk about our whole health. You know, what Tammy talked about is that whole nutrition, you know, feeding the body what it's looking for, not just giving it something to eat. All right, Tammy, thank you so much. Tell us one more time, how do they get in touch with you?
GetRawWithTammy.com. Get Raw with Tammy on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Tammy Martin-Ryles. And I would like to say I'm a life coach, but I'm a plant-based enthusiast. People gonna have to change their own life now. I will enthuse you to eat some plants and all them 11 body systems. You're gonna improve your life and feel so good, and you're gonna feel good.
Thank you. Latanya says thank you. Tracy says thank you. Gladys says thank you. You
Yay.
know, hey, you guys, thank you for riding with us again. I appreciate it. We are at 8:05, as I always do. I like to get done no later than 8:05 because I know that some people came on a little bit after the start time at 7. But hey, we'll see you next week. We are also planning an economic summit. Keep your eyes on that. Every household should have a small business. Every household, in the sound of my voice, you should have a small
A
business. I'm
small
bringing Keith Tucker back. We're going to be doing a series, 31 Days to Financial Health. And we're talking from the beginning to the end. We're looking at all areas. We're looking at your banking. We're looking at your savings. We're looking at your emergency fund. We're looking at getting out of debt. We're looking at starting up business. We're talking about tax. Some of you have jobs. If you're working on a job that's less than $15 an hour, or somewhere in that neighborhood between 12 and say 17, but under $20, we're going to show you how to use taxation to, number one, give yourself a raise. Number two, use the taxes in the business side of things to raise your income. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next page, the next post, the next YouTube video, the next live stream. I call it my dream stream here at Passion2Profits TV. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share. Did I leave anything out? Tammy, let's go, girl. You got to show your TikTok because you did that TikTok. You like, I'm TikToking.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
You said we're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing this at 100. We were like, hey, over 100, right? We're in the 100 plus club. 100 plus club.
We're going to be driving. We're going to be driving. We're going to be sitting back, jogging and running and having a good old time.
All that. All right. Such a pleasure to see you. Such a pleasure to hear you. Such a pleasure for all the information you shared. And you take care of yourself, okay? And when I'm in California, I'll definitely stop by to see you. All right. You guys take care. Peace. We love you. Be blessed.